build up gradually. Like, maybe by the third or fourth paragraph, or maybe by the last paragraph of the passage, you'll get to know what the main idea is. Now, do you guys find it difficult while solving CLAT passages to find the main idea or find what is the main reason behind the passage? Can I just have a show of hands or a thumbs up or something like that? Say we have Kanishka, we have uh, Vanshika, we have Shell. So many of you do find that, and I hope that this, yes, especially in yes, Pratha, especially in passages with a topic you're not familiar with. I hope this class will make it a bit more easy for you to understand the main idea of the passage, because once you are aware of the main idea, right, it is easier to reduce the other parts as well. So now that we all know what the main idea is or have a decent idea, अब चलते हैं next passage में. अब next week पहले, how do you identify the main idea? Anyone knows? Obviously, like uh, across from the thing in the PPT. Pratha, could you please speak up a bit louder? I'm so sorry, couldn't hear you. Okay. So, does anyone have any idea apart from what is there on the slide as to how do you identify the main idea? Anyone? Yes, that is true. Like, if you get like understand half the meaning, it is easy to understand the main idea of the passage. And as I said before, the main idea should be something inclusive of everything. It cannot be too narrow, or the details can't be too vague. I'll get back to you guys more on that detailing of the main idea towards the later half of the class today. So first of all, ask the right question. What is the author trying to prove, argue, or explain in the passage? Don't focus. So you have to try to say what the author is trying to convey. ठीक है? अपना पूरा focus central claim या फिर conclusion पे लगाओ. Don't not what is said in the middle या फिर randomly कुछ आ जाता है, but the what author is trying to build up to. And main idea is not something simply stated. You cannot get the main idea from one simple line या फिर reading one paragraph of the passage. It is what the passage is intended to demonstrate to you guys. तो पूरा passage पढ़ के ही main idea समझ में आता है. So many people are like first they'll see the questions and then they'll casually glance through the passage. और अगर main idea question है, they'll just attempt it without actually reading the passage. It might work for some, it might not work for the others. But most of the time answer wrong ही निकलता है, because sometimes the options are very similar. So that is why please attempt main idea questions after reading the passage carefully, okay? Yes, Anurag, main idea is literally like what the passage is about. So, अब question तो पूछ ले कि कौन सा पूछना है when trying to identify the main idea. But coming to the second part, use the elimination method. Uh, like any CLAT question will have 4 options, right? So when you're trying to choose the main idea from multiple options, eliminate choices that are factual in nature. मतलब डेटा पॉइंट्स दे रहा है, स्टैटिस्टिक्स दे रहा है, इवेंट्स नेम कर रहा है. अगर देखो, in the case of naming events, okay, think of, maybe if the passage is about their event, maybe then do not eliminate it. But a rule of thumb, any kind of factual data most probably won't be the main idea, because it is the author's opinion, basically. Now coming to the so these factual details are supporting the argument, they don't represent the argument. So just ignore factual details अगर कोई option में आता है कि नहीं. तो secondly, don't ignore examples or illustrations. मतलब any kind of example that the author is trying to give, it's too narrow. Like it's like these examples are trying to prove something. Something that is too narrow, too broad. Matlab they only focus on a small part of the topic, but not the overall message. Yeah, for they're going beyond the scope of what the author is actually trying to say, you know? And lastly, unrelated or distorted versions. Basically, they may introduce ideas that have not been discussed or misrepresent the author's view. मतलब अगर चार ऑप्शन है उसमें से एक ऑप्शन ऐसा उन लोग देंगे तुम्हें को ट्रिक करने के लिए कि इट्स लाइक दे डू नॉट इवन टॉक अबाउट what is happening in the passage, and those are pretty easy to detect, so please eliminate those options at once because main idea तो वो होगा नहीं. Any doubts in this passage? Something I should explain again? And please, sorry, ignore my voice. I just have a really bad cold. तो अगर कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है and if I'm going too fast, please let me know, okay? Okay, others? ठीक है, अब let's move on to the next topic. This is a quick example, okay? Uh, while electric vehicles are growing in popularity, their long-term environmental benefits are debatable due to battery disposal and electricity source concerns. So, when you're reading this, do you think the main idea given in this uh, slide that EVs may not be as environmentally friendly as as assumed? Is it that the main idea या फिर कुछ और है? Read that line and tell me that is the main idea given in the slide correct or not?
Ma'am, it is correct, but the EVs, they're more sustainable. This can be also the main idea.
Yes,
The
that
main
so
idea is not that.
हाँ तो main idea can be framed in many ways. So yeah, as one of you guys said, EVs may not be sustainable. That also can be the main idea, but it's in how the options are framed. Is the meaning they're trying to convey the same as the passage? अब यहाँ पे देख लो, main idea is EVs may not be environmental friendly as assumed or sustainable. अब supporting detail यहाँ पे क्या है? Concerns around battery waste and electricity sources. So eliminate any answer options that focus only on sales trend or vehicle costs. इसका this is from a passage basically. So eliminate answer options that focus on facts basically when I'm referring to sales trends or vehicle costs. Because happy we are not talking about the uh, price of the EV. We are talking about the environmental friendliness and sustainability of the EV. ठीक है, so moving on. अब इस slide में I want you guys to read this slide, okay? Read it quickly. I'll give you guys like maybe a minute to read it, and then we can discuss it, okay? And I'm sorry this class will be a bit too reading heavy because I guess I just want you to guys practice once and to like inform the main idea. Once you guys are done reading, please give me a thumbs up.
Ma'am, the main idea of this passage
Sorry,
should
we'll
be
discuss it later. एक बार खाली पढ़ लो, then we can discuss it. Let others also read.
okay. Okay.
Okay, guys. So now moving on to the this slide. If you look at this is the same passage. Now, main idea यहाँ पे is this the right main idea? Like the one given in the slide, is that the right main idea?
Yes.
Yes, Anurag, yes, that is also somewhere you can. It's not negative impact of climate change globally, but emerging basically. Dekho, that is one another great example. Anurag wrote in the chat the negative impact of climate change globally. But अब अगर दो ऑप्शन दिया हुआ है in the question of main idea that the chap passage is about the negative impact of climate change globally या फिर climate change is emerging as one of the most significant global challenges. So in this case, if it is a sentence directly taken from the uh, what kind of what argument are you talking about, Anurag? Yeah, so arguments can be considered as the main idea because that is what the author is trying to convey. And I told you that earlier as well. So examples and facts are made to support the argument. So अगर author is बार saying that this repeating the argument throughout the passage and it is conclusive of everything. It includes everything. It's not too broad, it's not too narrow. Then yes, it is the main idea. So in this sentence, in this basically this passage, you have to identify the sentence which was the main idea. So over here, if you can read in the first sentence only, climate change is emerging as one of the most significant global challenges of the 21st century. And then supporting detail may you have Arctic is warming at more than twice the global average rate. Then you have this has led to accelerated melting of ice caps. These are all supporting details. And then there's an example as well that Greenland has lost over 3.8 trillion tons of ice since 1992. So this is how you can identify the sentences in a passage. Obviously, this is a very short paragraph, and the actual passages will be much longer in a CLAT exam. But this is just an example, okay? Um, Shaurya, I don't think it can be because इस passage में there is nothing that mentions about how measures what measures are being taken for climate change with global cooperation. See, this is what I'm talking about. This might, if this was a bigger passage, right? This idea that what global measures should be taken might have been mentioned. But for only this paragraph, is it anywhere? Nowhere is mentioned that what measures can be taken. They're only talking about climate change, the big issue, what is causing the climate change, and giving an example. There is no talking about the solution for climate change. So, not every passage will have the solution, or not every passage will have an example. So, that cannot be the main idea because it is nowhere mentioned in the passage. So, when you're solving these questions, right, please don't misunderstand. If it's not mentioned in the passage, it is not supposed to be the main idea because reference to the main idea will be made somewhere or the other. In most questions, there might be exceptions, but generally, this is the rule for the main idea questions. Okay, so this is a reading strategy basically. I'll quickly go through this. You guys don't need to uh, worry much about this. Basically, to help you identify, main ideas and everything. Uh, Opening sentence, first sentence often introduces the topic of the paragraph, identify keywords, then look at transition words. It helps you follow the logic, basically. Look for words like however, therefore, in contrast, like with signals changes in direction, contrast or cause and effect relationship. Basically, when the basically the author is trying to make another point, or the author is trying to divert away from that point, or the author is trying to signify a cause effect relationship कि ये हुआ है इसके वजह से. And then closing lines. Closing lines often summarize or conclude the main point of the paragraph. Focus on how paragraph ends to grasp the overall conclusion or summary. But it can be that the last sentence encapsulates the everything that has been said in the passage, or maybe it is not. saying anything. It is only mentioning a very short point. But it's good to keep in mind that you should be looking out for the concluding statement, the opening statement, as well as any kind of transition words. So, whenever you're reading however, therefore, and contrast, remember these meanings because that is how you can differentiate between the arguments that the authors are making. Are there any doubts, questions, anything like that, concerns, Abhi? Okay, so प्रथा आई एम नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड आपने बोला कि 2 पॉइंट्स नहीं आया है इसी इसी से मतलब कैन यू प्लीज फर्दर elaborate? आई एम वेरी सॉरी अबाउट दैट. See, it's not always that fact, okay? It can be like a concluding statement where the author has made multiple arguments. मतलब you look at this one only. क्लाइमेट चेंज में ही देख लो. यहाँ पे ऑथर ने दो दो एग्जांपल्स दिए हैं. पहले just see this. Reported that Arctic is warming at more than twice the global average rate. This has led to accelerated melting of ice caps. So this paragraph can be part of a bigger passage. तो मे बी पैसेज के विद इन कोई आर्गुमेंट को एम्फसाइज करने के लिए ऑथर यूजेस देयरफॉर द एक्शंस ऑफ ह्यूमंस आर कॉजिंग मेल्टिंग ऑफ आइस कैप्स इन ग्रीनलैंड ऐसे करके ठीक है बट इट कैन ऑल्सो बी यूज इन कंक्लूजन एज वेल बट एज आई सेड लुक एट द wording of the paragraph okay because the use of words in different positions can mean different things so always be aware of how. Yes, that is true, Anurag. Like it's not always used. It's a general usage word, but it is also used in the middle of passages to emphasize a particular argument or example. Any other doubts? Okay, so moving on to the next page. These are common passage structures. So Pella is a cause effect wala structure where basically you're identifying the cause and its resulting effect. Science students को पता होगा the cause effect relationship in chemicals and physics and everything. Sorry, I'm not a science student, so I won't know much about it. But yeah, so it is very apparent in English literature as well. Passages में भी cause effect relationship authors use करते हैं. यहाँ पे cause and its effect is shown like the example देख लो the company invested heavily in technology resulting in improved productivity यहाँ पे cause हो गया the company's investment in technology and its effect was resulting in improved productivity. अब second देख लो problem solution. The passage presents a problem और फिर solution offer करता है. But I'll make it very clear every passage won't have all of these. Sometimes they'll only mention the problem and its causes but solution नहीं देंगे. They're only talking about the effects, but they're not talking about the cause. So this is just general understanding, okay? A problem solution का example देखो. Due to rising costs, the company adopted a new budgeting strategy. Uh, the, तो यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम हो गया राइजिंग कॉस्ट सोल्यूशन इज अ न्यू बजटिंग स्ट्रैटेजी तो यहाँ पे डायरेक्टली नहीं मेंशन किया गया है कि प्रॉब्लम और सोल्यूशन क्या है बट यू हैव टू इन्फर इट फ्रॉम दैट वे and then you have compare and contrast. The passage is comparing two things, highlighting the similarities or differences. Matlab, maybe the author is trying to talk about two different viewpoints. Maybe ethics of AI, ethics of AI usage in homework. तो उसका pros और cons होगा and the author will compare those two things and they also highlight the similarities or differences कि दोनों व्यू पॉइंट में क्या क्या सिमिलैरिटीज है क्या क्या डिफरेंसेस है. There is an easy example over here. While product A is more expensive, product B offers better long-term value. So यहाँ पे the author is saying that while both product A and product B are good, product A has a higher price, but product B is better in long-term value. So they are comparing and contrasting in the same sentence. The last is an idea, an objection, and a resolution. So basically, where the author is raising an idea or a thought or an argument, फिर उसका एक नेगेटिव उसके बारे में नेगेटिव बोल लाइक इट्स फॉलोड बाय एन ऑब्जेक्शन that it won't work out or it is not viable, and then the author gives a resolution or states a resolution given by someone else. uh, so the sentence over here is, some argue that remote works reduces productivity, but studies show that it can increase work life balance and efficiency. तो इसमें देख लो आइडिया इज कि रिमोट वर्क रिड्यूसेस प्रोडक्टिविटी. तो basically the idea is about remote work from home, and its objection यहाँ पे क्या आ रहा है कि remote work is reducing its productivity, but फिर resolution यहाँ पे दे रहे हैं कि studies are showing that it has increased work life balance and efficiency. So it's criticizing something, but it is also praising it. So these are very general examples of what a passage is most likely to be like. Okay. Any doubts over here? You guys have issues with these kind of passages where you have trouble coming up with solutions or identifying the main idea or the main objective? It's okay. Please speak up, eh? One. What can be the main idea of the last one? Some argue that remote work reduces productivity, but studies show that it can increase work-life balance and efficiency. भाई एक लाइन से the main idea निकालना will be pretty hard, but the main idea of this can be the uh, work basically remote work. Is it a blessing or is it a curse? Something like that. That is it. Does it have more negative effect? Does it have more positive effect? That is just from one sentence. If you read about it in a passage, then it'll be easier to get the main idea. One more example of objective res and idea objection resolution. Um, you can think about this. We should plant more trees, and we should plant more trees to increase the to reduce the carbon dioxide in the uh, atmosphere. That is the idea. अब objection ये आएगा कि planting trees costs a lot of money and therefore it is not a viable solution. Resolution ये आ गया कि resolution can be the fact that while all these mass produced foods due to which deforestation is happening, uska seeds लेके plant करो, तो the food will also not go to waste and the seeds will be used for planting trees. Something like that. Heck, I'll get back to you on that. Shaurya, remind me once towards the end of the class. I'll give you one example by then. Is that okay? And I hope Samisha can you understood the main idea of the last one. Okay. Chalo, moving on. Ab, I have basically some work for you guys. You read this passage basically, and apne aap, don't share it with the class, don't speak up right now. Try to identify what is the main idea, which sentence is the main idea, which sentence is the problem, which sentence is the solution, and which sentence is the consequence. Something like that, okay? Problem, solution, consequence, and main idea, okay? Read it. I'll give you guys like 2 to 3 minutes. उसके बाद we'll discuss, okay? Guys, please give me a thumbs up or reasons if you're done with the passage. You have to read it and find out the main idea, problem, solution, and consequence. Okay, Pratha, we'll wait for others and then we can move forward. Okay, guys, I think many of you guys are done. Should I wait some more or should I begin discussing it? चलो डिस्कस कर ही लेते हैं. आई थिंक पैसेज तो रीड कर लिया होगा सबने अभी तक. Okay, 2 more minutes. Okay, I can. I'll wait till 33. Then we can proceed. Okay. Chalo, guys. Let's discuss the passage एक बार. Before I show the solution, can someone tell me what the main idea is?
Ma'am, main idea can be floods are more increased due to the mismanaged urban policy and inadequate infrastructure development.
Um, yes, that is one of the sentences basically that captures the idea, but main idea नहीं है. Basically, the main idea is that yes, Pratha, infrastructure for preventing flood. That's half the main idea. The main idea basically is, let's see what it is. Uh, if we see, a main idea is urban flooding is primarily a result of poor urban planning and governance and not just climate change. So all of you guys stated some things, but it was not the full idea. So obviously poor planning, government and urban planning is in, and not just climate change is an reason behind uh, climate change. Now, structure being over here is पहले problem बोल रहे हैं लोग, फिर they're talking about the cause. Uh, extreme weather, while extreme weather events contribute to it, years of mismanaged urban planning, inadequate infrastructure, uncontrolled urban sprawl, illegal consequences, and consequences that makes many cities highly vulnerable to floods. These issues will persist and worsen, leading to recurring floods disasters. So consequence is anything that is marked in blue, okay? And solution is without substantial policy reforms, adequate infrastructure development, and stricter enforcement of building codes. So when you are seeing this, okay, is passage with the main thing I wanted you guys to see is that always the solution is not given directly. It might be part of an argument such as this one. Like without substantial policy reforms, adequate infrastructure development, and restricted enforcement of building codes, these issues will persist and worsen, leading to recurring flood disasters. So sometimes you have to plug the solution yeah, plug the conclusion from the middle of the arguments like this, because it might not be given directly. And if they ask you for the topic sentence, uh, the first one, which is the yellow one, is the topic sentence. That is, the increasing frequency of urban flooding is often attributed solely to climate change, but this view fails to capture the full complexity of the problem. And the next is, what kind of encouraged answer choices would you expect in MCQs? So these are some of the choices that you should avoid in main idea or uh, solution questions basically. Any kind of answers that oversimplify the issue by only focusing on climate change or extreme weather events as the sole cause of flooding, or answers that suggest a solution without addressing the full range of causes and consequences. So anything that is too narrow or that is too broad. Anything else that you guys want to know about this passage? कुछ doubt है? Should I discuss? Please do let me know if you guys want me to explain it again. इसलिए I've chosen smaller passages so it's easier for you guys to understand. ठीक है, मतलब ऑलमोस्ट सबको समझ में आ ही गया है. इट्स ओके, लास्ट में आई हैव सम टाइम फॉर डाउट डिस्कशन. अगर तब तक यू गाइस think that there is anything that needs to be discussed in this passage, let me know, okay? I'll move on to the next question, or next slide, basically. So what is, I've already talked about this, but let's just dive into a detailed explanation. Ki, what are some of the common trap options in main idea questions? Like, what are the options that you should avoid? So, first of all, first, any option that is too narrow. Focus only on one part or example and not the entire argument. Matlab, if you look at the this passage, if you look at this passage, any option that states that climate change is one of the leading causes of urban flooding, and it's one of the options for the main idea question. Discarded, discarded. मतलब उसको छोड़ ही दो, because that is not the main idea. So something that is too narrow, too broad, it reduces ideas or topics not discussed in the passage. तो इसमें ये भी बोल सकते हो कि the increase in rainfall due to melting of ice caps and increased sunlight is also a cause of urban flooding. कहीं मेंशन है आइस कैप्स के बारे में, सनलाइट के बारे में? इट्स नोवेयर देयर इन दिस पैसेज. So anything that is introducing new ideas or discussing topics not in the passage, it cannot be the main idea. Um, third is factually correct but not central. So it mentions true statements, it mentions facts, it mentions figures, but that are minor details that is supporting the main idea, but it is not the correct option. इसमें देख लो, the combination of uncontrolled urban sprawls, illegal constructions, and outdated drainage system makes many cities highly vulnerable to floods. It's a factual statement, but it's not the main idea. It's a supporting statement, basically. And opposite of the author's view, misrepresent the passage main argument. मतलब any option that is opposite to what the author is trying to talk about. For the previous passage, it can be that uh, poor urban planning is not a cause for urban flooding. That is a option that is completely not the main idea. So they'll ask you questions where they frame it like, which of the following is not the main idea of the passage. तो तब you can look at these four options में से अगर कोई आता है, that is definitely not the main idea. So if it's an opposite to the main idea question, then these options will be the right answer. Any ideas, anything else you want to share that you think that also might not be the main idea question? Okay, I guess nothing here. बाद में अगर कुछ आए तो please share करना. Okay, so last passage. I'm sorry अगर, can you guys see the passage?
Yes.
Others, should I increase it if you guys are from looking at it from smaller devices? Okay, so pretty big Pretty small passage only. Take 2-3 minutes to read it, and then we can solve the question, okay? Again, it's a main idea question. Just try to find the main idea, and I think that will be then done then. Guys, please give me a thumbs up or a raise your hands when you're done reading the passage. And if you need more time, please do let me know. I'll give you guys 2 minutes. 45 we will start discussing, okay? Okay, guys, is everyone done? Okay, yes, Anurag, that is the main idea that while food delivery apps are convenient and beneficial, but they are also bringing significant concerns such as health, data privacy, and environmental impact without proper regulation and oversight. Actually, that is pretty much covering the whole passage. So good for you. That is the main idea. But for others, let's just discuss it once. Uh, so over here, I want you guys to see what is the trap question and why. Out of the four options, one of them is not the proper title for this passage. So this is like the antithesis of the main idea that which of the following is not representation of that passage. So quickly go through the four options and let me know which one do you think is the trap question. I have four answers now. Others? Only three. We have D and A in the ring. Any other options? Another A. Guys, pretty easy passage. Please drop your answers in the chat. नौ स्टूडेंट्स है खाली चार पांच ही बात कर रहा है. Others, please participate. It is beneficial for you guys only. Do you guys need more time, or should we discuss the answer? Okay, so Anurag is of the opinion that trap is basically A, while D is completely unrelated. Let's see. So, answer trap title is A. The convenience resolution, how food delivery is redefining urban lifestyles. It is not the main idea, basically. It is talking about it in the passage, but it is not the main idea, so it cannot be the title. And the title is too positive and focuses only on one convenience, which is like a minor part of the whole passage. The main idea is about how regulation and responsible operation, not celebration of the lifestyle change, basically. Um, so yeah, food delivery apps are called for responsible innovation. It is not completely unrelated. Uh, like it can be inferred, but yeah, in this passage, it's not viable. Like it cannot be any kind of, Hmm. So yeah, guys, you were right. A is the trap and D is completely unrelated. So it cannot be inferred basically, but if you read the last line, the sector lacks adequate oversight and standards, making regulation essential, not to stifle innovation, but to ensure it proceeds in a way that aligns with public health. Basically, when they're calling for responsible innovation, they're talking about innovation with proper oversight and responsibility, basically. But it is not the main idea, yes. Look at the last two passages, basically, last two lines, basically. Not to stifle innovation, but to ensure it proceeds in a way that aligns with public health. That is how option D can be inferred, but it's a very vast inference, not something which is directly inferred. So, I guess that is the last slide for today. I would ask you guys if you guys have any questions, any kind of doubts. See, Anurag has shared a main idea in the chat. If you read that, that is basically the gist of the passage and what the author is trying to convey. If there's any other doubt, any of the previous passages or koi usme, please share it right now. I'll try my best to deal with it and solve it.